Jody, how are you doing today?
Hi, Miss Robin. I'm just fine and dandy. How are you?
I'm good. So, are you ready for another episode of our Special Agent Mom podcast?
I am totally ready. It's been a hot minute since we last recorded, and I'm back in my office. I'm so happy that I'm not snowed in anymore. So that's
Yes.
that's especially a happy day.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you. The more cold to come. We're not done with winter yet.
Bite your tongue, but don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
So, for anybody who's joining us for the first time, I'm Robin Eubank Callis, and I'm a county extension agent with K-State Research and Extension, and I'm in Barber County, Kansas.
And I am Jody Drake. I am the Family and Consumer Science and 4-H agent in Pratt County, Kansas. And I would like to welcome you to the Special Agent Mom podcast. This is episode, what are we on? Episode six?
Well, it's episode 4 of our
Four.
second season, and we had 3 episodes that we did before the new year. So
Okay. All right. Well, just zooming right along. Just zooming right
we're
along. Okay.
we
So
are.
today we're going to talk about one of our other jobs. We wear many hats. Some days we're the everything agent. Some days we are the ag agent. Some days agriculture agent. Some days we're the family and consumer science agent. Some days we are the 4-H agent. I had a board meeting last night and I was telling the board and it was like welcoming new board members to our board. And I said, really, the majority of my job is 4-H. Would you agree?
Well, I would say the majority of my unplanned time gets taken up by 4-H management. Yes.
Yes.
Um, and we're both fortunate right now that we're in fully staffed offices, so we do have ag agents and we do have that support, but we're both in 2 agent counties, so we share those 4-H responsibilities with everybody in the office. So,
Yes. Yes. That's why I can say, though, sometimes when we aren't fully staffed and I'm the only one in the office, that I'm the everything agent. You've also been the everything agent from time to time. And we just have to start singing, oh, I'm so lonely. But yeah, we don't have to do that right now. So I think,
well,
I'm
go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead. I was just going to start at the beginning and just explain to the general public in general what 4-H is. I'm just going to
That's
start
great.
there. Yeah,
I love that start. Go with it.
yeah. And if you go to the 4-H website, the National 4-H website, which is www.4-h.org, you'll find that 4-H is a national organization. In fact, it's the largest youth serving organization in the United States. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Um, it empowers nearly 6 million young people with the skills they need to lead for a lifetime. So, through life changing 4 H programs, nearly 6 million kids and teens have taken on critical societal issues, such as addressing community health inequities, engaging in civil discourse, and advocating for equity and inclusion for all. So, that's the very wordy definition of 4 H.
Yes.
Would you like to give the not so wordy of what 4-H is?
Well, 4-H means a lot to a lot of different people. And I think that's one of the really great things is that it's over 100 years old, and Barber County 4-H clubs started organizing in 1935. So if you're doing math there real quick, we're in our 90th anniversary this year. So we're doing some very special things to try to celebrate that. But I have families who've been 4 generations in Barber County 4-H. And so what they'll talk about might be different than what we talk about on a national level. But it comes back to we're equipping kids and youth, I should say youth, with skills that empower them to make great choices, whether it's in business or as a community member as adults. It's really the heart of what we get back to. being and doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about empowering those kids with life skills, so they can contribute to their communities that they grow up in and hopefully create wonderful adults. The community that my kids are growing up in, the 4-H community that they're growing up in, was the same 4-H club that I was in as a kid. Um, and I right now serve as the community leader of that 4-H club. I'm really trying to get out of that gig. By the way, I gave my speech this year and said, okay, my child is going to be out soon. One of y'all needs to step up. And my co community leader, he was also a 4-H member of that club as well. So when our kiddos started out in that club was about to die. There was only 4 members of that club. So we said, okay, we'll start bringing our oldest girls who were not quite old enough to be in 4-H yet. They were clover buds at that time. And we said, okay, we'll start coming to your 4-H club meetings to keep this club alive because we felt so, we wanted our club to live. And so that's what we did. And now that club is one of the biggest ones in the county because we believed in it so much. And it's just fun to see how clubs, shrink and grow and shrink and grow. One of the reasons that I joined 4-H when I was a kid was because my sister's friend was in 4-H and she wanted to join 4-H. And so therefore, we all joined 4-H and joined that club because that was the one that they were in. So
Well, and I
that's
think
what we did.
that's you hit a nail on the head there. It's a family. All of your kids, boys, girls, and then ages 7 to 18 all go to the same club meeting. There's no, well, they're at this age level and this one's at this age level, or, you know, um, the several different organizations and youth sports where you're separated by age. We're all together, whole family, um, boys and
Yeah, and
girls
it's
both,
not.
all go to one meeting. And so as I'm looking at it now as a mom, I see the perk in that.
Yeah, and it's not a babysitting service where you go drop your kids off and let somebody else take care of your kids for a little while. No, the parents get involved too. There's a it's a family affair. That's what I always tell families that are interested in 4-H. It's a family affair. So our 4-H year starts in October. Is the official start of the 4-H year. So I usually have parents asking about it, like after fair time. When can my kid join 4-H? I always encourage them to go visit a club meeting, August, September, see what it's about. If you want to go visit a couple of club meetings, you know, try out some clubs. That's a good idea too. And then ask some questions about when do your clubs meet, who all's in the club, that type of thing. Go visit some clubs.
Absolutely. I encourage the same thing. So you shared why you joined 4-H, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to share my why from a few decades ago. But I actually saw 4-H advertised on TV on a Saturday morning cartoon, and I thought it was the coolest thing all wrong. And so
I don't remember TV advertisements.
I do. I remember it clear as day. And so I asked my mom, and she said, well, you're not quite old enough because I was still just 6 at the time. And a- and this was before Clover Buds. Now we have 5 and 6 year olds in 4-H that can join as Clover Buds. But so it was before Clover Buds. And she said, well, if you're still interested after you turn 7, we'll talk about it. So I said, I'm still interested in that time. I turned 7 just before May 1, and we joined after my 7th birthday, and I started 4-H right away, which for
I
anybody
know.
listening, our policies have changed. You have to be 7 by January 1 now, but
Yeah.
to be a full member. But I joined as a full member of the Kiowa Creek 4-H Club in Comanche County, and that's where I stayed. And um, my niece is now a member, and it was really I didn't realize at the time when I was interested that my grandmother had been a 4-H club leader in Comanche County, and my mom had been in 4-H in Oklahoma. And so I really was a you know,
Hmm.
family legacy of 4-H, but um, I'm the one
That's
that brought
fun.
it up to them. So
Hmm.
it's kind of a different story, I find, when we all start comparing, how did you get into 4-H? So,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, I say that club meetings are a family affair and all the kids get involved, but a lot of people don't understand what a club meeting looks like until they go because we the kids do follow parliamentary procedure. They learn that at a young age. There's some certain elements that are involved in a club meeting, but one important element that a past Area 4-H specialist told me before, and he's gone now, bless his heart, um, was that if the kids aren't having fun, then you're doing something wrong. And I think that is so important, and I've always remembered that. If kids aren't having fun, then you're doing something wrong. Parliamentary procedure is a good thing for the kids to learn, but it's not the end all to your club meeting. So we do have a business meeting. We have
mhm.
a president, we have officers, the kids do have conduct business, but we also incorporate a couple of other fun things at the in the meeting, which I think you know what I'm talking about.
So one of my fun things growing up, I always remember recreation
Yep,
because we played a lot of relay race games with eggs on spoons and
yep,
things like that. And then also the club demonstrations,
yep,
and because a lot of times we have a demonstration. And then does your club sing?
yes. In fact, my
Yes.
club is one of the only ones that do have song leaders. I found out in the county. We always have one or two little girls who just want to sing. And you know what? It's so much fun. And the
So
boys get into it too.
I have a 4-H club that has somebody designated to tell a joke.
Oh, that is so fun.
And
Yeah.
so that's a speaking
Oh, I
opportunity
love
that
that.
everybody can do, that
Yeah.
they can get up and tell a joke. So there's yeah, lots of ways. And so Barber County has 6 clubs. How many does Pratt County have?
We have four right now. Yeah, we did have a couple more. And it's not that we've lost kids, it's that we've lost parents willing to lead the clubs, which is, and I'm not saying anything bad about parents at all. We're just busy. We are so
Mhm.
busy and involved in other things that they're running a million different directions. And I'm just going to, I am going to say this, I'm going to call this out. It's traveling sports, it's school sports, it's being involved in so many other things that we're pulled so many different directions. And yeah, we're competing with a lot of other things, right? 4-H competes with a lot of other things. And our 4-H numbers, kid numbers, has stayed steady, if not gone up, but the number of parents willing to be community leaders has gone down. So, yeah,
Well, we've maintained 6 clubs in Barber County for a very long time now. So,
I think that's
um,
awesome. Yeah. And I
but
think your 4-H numbers are maybe pretty even with Pratt counties.
I don't know. I mean, everything ebbs and flows. But what I was gonna say is that each club has their own personality. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
so anytime somebody new who doesn't come in because they're joining because a friend's joining, I really suggest that they visit several clubs. And I know you mentioned that earlier, but
Hmm.
clubs do have personalities and they have favorite projects and different
Yes.
things. And so, um, you know, anybody who's maybe struggling with 4-H, we have kids that switch clubs. We have families that have switched clubs. You know,
Oh, yeah, we do too all the time. Yeah.
there might
There's nothing wrong with that.
be the wrong personality fix,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
or maybe the meetings just are at the wrong time of the week for you. I say week,
Right.
but usually each club meets once a month.
Right. And there's nothing saying that they have to meet on a certain day or time. That's up to the club and what works best for the
Mhm.
families in the club. I've got most of mine are meeting on a Sunday. to avoid school time. My kids' club always meets on a Monday because we believe that Sundays are family days and you shouldn't interfere with that. That's just our way we've always done it, and it works. It works for our kids. Um, we did forget to mention what the 4-H's stand for.
Ooh,
We should start at the very beginning, shouldn't we? Because I was also thinking that one thing that we always do at our club meetings is the 4-H pledge and the Pledge of Allegiance. That's how we start our meetings. So all the kids learn that. And the 4-H pledge talks about the head, heart, hands, and health of the 4-H's. So, yeah.
yes. I caught that as a trivia question one night on a game show, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Nice, nice. No,
4-H is famous, but it was nice to
yep,
see 4-H on a national platform like that,
yep.
being recognized. So, yes, head, heart, hands, and health.
Hmm.
Little trivia question. Do you know which was the last H added?
Health.
Right. Mhm.
Ooh, I totally guessed. Man,
So,
we're gonna rocket it. Church trivia night this year.
so we talked a little bit about the clubs, and what do they look like? But when we say you enroll in 4-H, um, you want to talk about what they're actually signing up to do?
So when you sign up for 4-H, we have gone to a completely paperless enrollment system. So you enroll completely online, and your local county extension office can help walk you through that process. It's really not difficult. You sign in, you make a username, you make a password, and then you go through the enrollment process. And you will pick projects that you would like to enroll in. When you do that, if you're not sure which project you would like to enroll in, again, come ask your local extension office for some help. They can help explain to you what those projects are. If this is your first year in 4-H, I would suggest signing up for only one or two projects your first
Yeah.
year at the most. Keep it simple that first year, and that's a lot easier. And you can research those projects online as well. If you go to www.kansas4-h.org, that's a great resource to look up some of those projects and also get resources for some of those projects as well. And we'll put links to all of those in the comments when we post this podcast as well.
Yes.
And then at the very end, this is a county by county basis, but the state of Kansas charges a $15 fee to be enrolled in 4-H. Now, my county, Pratt County, has a very generous donor. Our local 4-H foundation pays that fee for all of our kids to be in 4-H. Robin, how does your county handle that fee?
We're on a club by club basis. They
Okay.
decide. This year, we've had a donor and been able to cover everybody as they sign up. Um, but that does depend. That does vary year to year. But really, we're talking $15 for the whole year.
Yeah.
And I always like to remind people that covers some accident insurance. So
Yes.
anytime you're at a recognized 4-H event, and I've unfortunately had to use this if people have tripped and ended up with an accident or went to the ER, and that accident insurance at events does come in handy. And so that's one of those things that $15 for the whole year buys for our club members.
Yeah. And honestly, $15. Oh, that's nothing for a year-long activity compared to sports
Oh yeah.
activities,
Well, just
traveling ball and things like that. That is absolutely nothing.
so
Um,
Jody, you were talking about the projects. So I'm gonna put you on the
yes,
spot. What was your favorite project when you were growing up in 4-H?
it was easy. Sewing. Yeah, sewing. I also did cooking. And then we had a really nice lady in our 4-H club who owned her own kiln. and she would do ceramics with us. We could go to her house on Saturdays and she'd help. She had her own greenware and stuff. And so she'd help us do ceramics at her house in the morning. She was a grandma of the
Before you,
some 4-Hers in our
yep.
club. And so we could go do ceramics at her house. I've still got some of those pieces that I did when I was in 4-H. Yeah,
Love
she
it.
was a neat lady.
I love it.
Yeah, I stayed away from four-legged creatures. I did have some rabbits, but that was as close to livestock as I got. That was it. How about you? What was your favorite?
So I was one of those 4-H members who would have 10 or 12 projects in a year, especially as I got older. Um, Everything from rabbits to beef. But I would say one of the ones that, I was an arts and crafts kid or foods. I loved shaping yeast breads, making things out of yeast breads for the county fair.
Yeah.
Um, and those are ones that, oh, just talking about this, we could do a whole episode on the oopsies of life because
Yes.
my very first
Yes.
4-H demonstration, I did peanut butter roll-ups. And that's where you take a slice of sandwich bread and roll it out really flat and then
Yes.
spread peanut butter on it and roll it up and you slice it into little pinwheels. I mean, that's a
Uh-huh.
perfect 4-H demonstration for every 7-year-old getting started. Um, I packed everything for the 4-H club meeting and I was so efficient at home when I did my practice after school for one last time. I put the bread back in the bread box. So we got to the 4-H club meeting with no bread for me to flatten out. And
Oopsie.
oopsie, I still remember spreading peanut butter on a napkin
Oh my gosh.
and showing people the technique with a napkin and then slicing the napkin. And I can still tell you which boys ate the napkin with peanut butter on it. And in hindsight now, I can see, I think they did it just to make me feel better. I don't know if they put it in their mouth and then went and spit it out. I was 7, but in my mind, they ate it.
That's
Uh,
hilarious.
y- you know, but I think that story also shines the light on what our older kids do for our little kids,
Uh-huh.
getting them started
Absolutely. Yeah.
and just ways that they work together to help lift the little kids up and encourage them to keep
Yes.
trying. So
Yep.
yeah. I went on to do foods demonstrations at the state fair where I hauled everything to make homemade enchiladas.
That's a lot.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Okay,
2 electric skillets and extra pans and
it's
hot
extra.
enchiladas just
I did not do state fair demonstrations. I did not do that.
Yep,
No.
I have the stories, the tips, the yeah, I did a lot of
And
that. So
then
those were probably my favorites, but I was one of those kids that did a little bit of everything. So,
good job. Way to go. I keep talking about life skills, about we're trying to teach these kids life skills.
mhm.
And I think that's one of the benefits. And this is one of the whys. Why should you get your kid into 4-H? And so in Kansas, we talk about 5 life skills that we're trying to teach our kids. What are they? So here they are. Here they are. Here's the
Okay.
big answer. So we're trying to teach the kids how to have a positive self-concept. Okay. Trying
Mhm.
to teach them to think positive about themselves, have an inquiring mind. One of the things how we teach the kids about their projects is through experiential learning. In other words, learn by doing. Actually, have hands-on skills, hands-on experimenting with a lot of the projects. One of the ones that comes to mind is rocketry. Um, we have a great rocketry leader in our county who who do rocketry shoot-offs with the kids. I also have an awesome sewing leader who
You
works
do?
hands-on with the kids. So that's experiential learning. A concern for the community. We always encourage the kids to do community service projects. We've done some really awesome ones in my county. Everything from gathering food for the food bank
Hmm.
to helping out with whether it's our new a new stores open house here in town. to cleaning up the riverbank in the park, community service, healthy interpersonal relationships. Okay, so what does that mean? Healthy interpersonal relationships. What does that mean to you, Robin?
That means we all have to figure out how to get along together.
Right. And not
Yes.
just with each other, but with intergenerational as well. So they work well with adults as well as with their peers. When you're in a 4 H club meeting, our kids, I make them put their phones away. So there's no technology going on. They're there for, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours max, and they're just having a good time. They're having fun. It's a good time. And they're learning how to get along with others. And finally, the other one is sound decision making. But they're going to have to learn how to problem solve and make decisions on their own. Why, yes. Yes, they are, because that's part of adulting someday.
It really is. And if you talk to 4-H alumni, and I know it fits into categories in which you just listed, a lot of them will talk about the record keeping because the skills they learned through, at a young age about how to set a goal and write everything down. That's one of the skills that I hear from alumni a lot of the time when they're talking about what they actually learned in 4-H.
Yes, they might use an expletive before the word record book, but I know my girls sometimes do. But a lot of them, by the time they're a senior in high school, have told me more than once, okay, now I see why you made me fill out that record book. Because as they're filling out scholarship applications, guess what? All that information they needed for those scholarship applications is right there in that record book. And they're like, oh, thanks. Thanks, Jody. I appreciate that.
Well, and I know you've had it too, but in Kansas we have essentially record competitions where
Yeah,
they can, if they win the county level, submit them to regional and state judging, and then the state winners have the opportunity to go on a really nice trip. So
right.
there's some reward at the state level too for record keeping.
Yeah, and there is a skill to learning how to keep records, whether it's financial records, records of what you've done throughout the year, and there's a piece to that record keeping about setting goals. And we just did a little podcast about that
Yeah,
a few
about
weeks
2 weeks ago.
ago. That's another life skill that we're teaching these kids so that they can somehow be prosperous adults someday. So yeah, it all works out. It all works out. Okay, so we talked about different projects that you and I were interested in. What do they do with all these projects that they're learning about throughout the 4-H year? What happens?
So I know where you're headed with this. You're headed towards the showcase of projects,
I
more
am,
commonly
yes.
known as a county fair.
Yes. I don't know
It,
about you, but we're already planning for ours right now.
oh, oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And county fair time is probably the time that 4-H is the most visible. And so that's what
that's
people see and associate with
yes.
4-H.
In fact, there's a lot of people in the community think that that's what my only job is putting on a county fair every year. And I'm not knocking anybody for thinking that because that again, that's where we're most visible. That's where
Yep.
we're seen, and that's where our kids are seen the most is during that 1 week during the summer at the county fair. And the kids love it. The kids absolutely love be spending a week at the fair with all their friends, having a good time, showing off all of their projects. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think you and I have both have unique fairs in the way that a lot of our families bring in campers and stay on the fairgrounds.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
ours, I refer to it as a long weekend. Everybody moves in on Thursday and goes home on Sunday. So, but we have camper hookups. Now there's people who
Yeah,
drive back and forth too, but a lot of the families do stay. And so it's that time where you connect with people that maybe you don't see the rest of the year.
it is truly a homecoming for so many people. Ours, again, move in for the whole week for with their campers, and they're just hanging out for the entire week. Now the kids bring in all their projects. They get constructive feedback from caring adults about their projects. In other words, they're judged on their projects. A lot of them, if they're livestock projects, that's the ending point for that livestock. Some of them will take them onto the state fair. A lot of them don't, though, and they're allowed to sell their animals through an auction. Then, and so they get to see the reward, the monetary reward from that. The kids that have inside projects, they get to sit down with someone and do some conversation, some conference type judging. At least my kids do. That's how we do it. We do conference judging. Robin, do you get to do
Conference
some
judging.
conference judging as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's some good benefits in that conference judging.
Well, and I know you and I have both judged for other counties as
Hmm.
well. And what I always love about that opportunity is that the 4-H member gets to tell you their story.
Yes.
You may be looking at a set of chocolate chip cookies, or a photo, or a painting, or even a Lego creation. But what's the story that happened behind getting to the point to walking in the door with that day? Um, and I enjoy the little kids because sometimes they tell the best stories. Um,
Absolutely.
and the thing is, as a judge, and I never noticed it as a kid, but I totally see it as a judge and as an agent watching it. Those parents are standing just far enough back that the kid can feel like they're on their own, but yet they're sitting there listening and taking in and learning right along with their children.
Yes. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I really like to judge, especially the little ones. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. I mean, if you ask the right questions.
Absolutely. I mean, you hear about things that get left at home, or literally the dog that ate the cookies.
Yeah,
And
and I do encourage my 4-Hers to bring their disasters, their cooking disasters. I think I've even got a category for it in my fair book, to bring your cooking disasters and tell the judge, okay, here's what went wrong. Can you help me do better? And I have one judge from Oklahoma who just loves it when the kids do that because she's like, okay, well, I see, I see we had a disaster here, but what exactly did you do? And then they can kind of talk through it, and she can help them learn from it, and maybe help them do a little bit better next time. But it's kind of fun to listen to what they messed
it
up.
it can absolutely be fun to learn,
Yeah,
and we're talking about inside exhibits, but obviously, I mean, the livestock shows,
yeah,
you can see that same learning going on, and the parents right around the arena listening to the judge, seeing what's um, you know, I've seen kids in the moment learn how to handle that stressful when an animal's not cooperating with them, and you can just almost see them grow up in front of you because they keep their composure and that maturity, um, in the ring. And then,
yeah,
there may be tears, and there may be tears afterwards that they didn't shed in the ring, when things don't go. And I'm not just talking about who wins, but animals step on toes. They don't behave, they run around, and animals can even get hurt. It's a real investment and a learning experience, um, that I would go so far as to say it's unparalleled in a lot of other environments.
absolutely. Yeah. We welcome our FFA kids as well to our county fair. So we've got 4-H kids, FFA kids, and a lot of our 4-H kids do both 4-H and FFA. Both of my daughters have done livestock. They've done all of the livestock, I believe. You name it, we've done it. And they don't want my help because they know that mom doesn't really know anything about, let's say, fitting a lamb, especially sheep. I'm not good with sheep. Um, so my oldest daughter often told me, "Go away. I'll just do it myself." Which, hey, win for me. I didn't have to help. So when it came to fitting the steers, she would call in a professional help. So she called in the neighbor and said, will you please help me? And then once she got help and she learned how to do it herself, they just wanted to do it them by themselves. And that's exactly what we're trying to teach our kids to do is it's their project, it's their animals. They need to learn how to do it themselves. And yeah, power to you.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
it. It is really it's an experience
Yeah.
when we can take the time to just it's not all the time and not very often during the fair I can take the time to just sit and watch what's going on around me.
I was
Um
just gonna say you're about to that stage here in a couple of years where you're gonna be the 4-H mom, and I'm gonna encourage you to tell your office staff, I gotta put on my mom hat right now. I'm gonna go watch.
so I've already been doing that. We have open class and so my son has shown 3 years at the Barber County Fair. And so yeah,
Good.
um he shows our dog.
Okay.
Um, so, she's a very small Chihuahua, so it's a manageable situation. And
I
she
love
got
it.
to go the first year because I needed to leave for the fair and he was going down with me and she ran away from home. So
Okay.
I'm driving down the road, catching her, throwing a leash on her and going, "I'm sorry, child, you're now going to the fair too. We'll see if you ever run away again." And
I understand. Yeah.
yeah, so that's how he got to show his very first experience at the Barber County Fair was because the dog was there for the pet show that day. And our pet show, especially in open class, is just aimed as a chance to get the kids talking about their animal. It is not an obedience set up with dogs. This last year, for whatever reason, he refused to put her down. And so he showed her holding her the whole time. And he told everybody in the arena that she was an ornery dog. I'm like, okay, that's not a lie, but you know, so yeah, I do put my 4-H mom hat on or mom hat.
Good. Yeah.
And he asked me this year when he gets to join 4-H, and I'm like, you could be a
Soon.
clover bud now.
Soon.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's all
but
good.
and I want to stress that especially our littles when they're showing like that at our fair. Um, they all get the same ribbon color. We have a sponsor who gives them a goodie bag for the peewees. And so it's not a competitive
Right. Yeah.
department,
Same.
so to speak, for our littles. It's
Yeah.
just a quality experience. Um,
Yeah. Same. I know we've got like a Pee Wee division for like the pigs. We can if we can get the littles out there to work with a big. Always have an older kid with them so they don't get run over by a pig. But it gets them in the show ring and gets them just a little experience, and they have fun. We give them a sucker when they get done. Gets it.
yeah.
They just have fun. It's just about having a good time. It really is. So we do other things than the county fair though with the
Oh, a lot.
4-Hers. Yeah,
And are you gearing up for county club days right now?
we are. Yeah.
I'm in the middle of gearing up. That's always a
Yeah. So what do
February,
you want to
March.
judge?
Ah,
Yeah. What do you want to judge at my county club day this year, huh? Huh?
how about that's an offline conversation that
Yeah,
we can have?
exactly. Well, we'll circle back around to that later. But our county club day is an event where our kids get to show off their public speaking skills, the parliamentary procedure skills. They also get to showcase a little bit of entertainment as well. So at Art County Club Day, the kids have an opportunity to do music appreciation. They have an opportunity to do individual project talks, demonstrations. Um, the clubs can do a small little parliamentary procedure pr practice type of thing. The clubs can do a model meeting, um, all before, again, a caring adult who will give them a little bit of constructive feedback. You've got some categories that we don't. Our little biddies, the first year kids, can do a show and tell. Again, they're not really judged on that, but the whole point is to get them up in front of an adult, to get them to speak by themselves for the first time. Um, you
I
do
say
a
you've
really fun thing where they do a reading. I really like
I was
that.
going to say everything you've listed we have as well, and then we do readings, and so that is simply it's I believe 2 to 4 minutes in the juniors and 3 to 5 minutes for my seniors, but they can pick a favorite book, and it's amazing what I will have read that the kids. I mean,
Actually, I
often
stole one of
children's
your books. I
storybooks.
stole one of your books last year for my story walk.
And that's as kids get into high school, there's forensics competitions where they're reading
Yes.
prose and poetry, which is essentially storybooks or
Yeah.
poetry. And so that's what our reading is, very similar to. But what I love is that regardless of how strong a reader you are, you can pick the book that's at your reading level. And so that you can um read it for the judge. And
I
it's a
had some
real
really good ones last year. I enjoyed judging that. That was good.
yeah, it's a real easy first step in.
Yeah.
We also allow dance. Do you have any dance?
Oh, no, we do not.
Yes, we have dance and skit that are available. So I've had some clubs do some fantastic club skits. Um, one year we had a whole bunch do a skit about camp, and like everybody's favorite camp counselor and who was the camp counselor. And there may have been some impersonations of county agents tossed in. It was really a fun little skit
Love that.
that they did. And then you mentioned, the model meetings where the whole club can participate, or we have we call it gavel games,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's just
Parley Pro,
four,
parliamentary
yeah,
procedure.
4 to 6 kids
Mm-hmm.
pretending to have a short business meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And those can get really fun as the kids get older, and
Yes.
they can make the most outlandish, wild motions as long as they're doing it with correct parliamentary procedure. So,
Yes. Yes. And you'd be surprised how important it is to learn that skill as you get to be an adult, because there's a lot of groups, as you know, we become a part of in the community, who don't have that skill. And then they look to me and they're like, "Are we doing this right?" And I'm like, "No, no, you're not. Let me help you."
well, and what I always enjoy is when, just the extra confidence our kids have when they sit down at those meetings
Yes.
because they
Mhm.
know how to make a motion.
Yep.
I've now been a county agent in Barber County long enough. I'm cycling through. My 4-Hers are joining our exec board, and
Yes.
they're joining our fair board.
Yes.
And yep,
I've got a few of
yep,
those.
you're seeing a few of those. But those they're not kids yet, but as young adults, they sit
Yep.
down and they have the absolute confidence to be in those discussions and how to handle that. So I see what a benefit that is
Yeah.
wherever they choose to go in their lives.
Right. Right. Yeah. So that's kind of our next event we've got coming up. And then, I know that both of my girls have gotten have had a lot of fun going to state 4-H events as high schoolers, especially like the Kansas Youth Leadership Forum. That's an event we do in Kansas in the fall. And then they elect kids to be on state 4-H council at that event. Both my girls have served on the state 4-H council and really enjoyed. And then they get to help plan some of those state events when they're on that state 4-H council. So they both enjoyed that. But there's another event coming up next month. Do you have any kids signed up for that? For the one that's next month? Do you want to talk about that one?
Not yet, but I may still. I have had kids go almost every year. It's called Citizenship in Action,
Mhm.
and it's one of the newer state events. I say newer because I remember the first year. It's been around a little
Yeah.
while, but
Yeah.
it's it wasn't around when we were kids. How about that? As it's a
Yeah.
newer
Right.
event.
Right.
And I have kids that absolutely love that because we go to Topeka. It's a one afternoon, one morning kind of event, so just a
It's a
one
nice short
overnight.
little, yeah,
But
short
they
little
get
jaunt to
to
Topeka.
they get to learn how to debate bills,
Hmm.
and the Kansas legislature is gracious enough to allow Kansas 4-H to use the Senate and the House chambers on a Sunday evening.
Hmm.
And so our kids are able to um, feel what it's like to be in those chairs and look around. And then I always make them go back the next morning when the House comes to session in the morning. The Senate opens up in the afternoon, and we're usually on the road home by then. But to see the actual House representatives on the floor doing the same things they were the night before, you
Right.
know,
And I know you do this as well, but we also make an appointment to visit either our representative or our senator while we're there and just stop by their office and say hello and take a picture. They're always more than happy to meet our 4-Hers. They're very supportive of our 4-H program.
yes, Kyle Hoffman is our House of Representatives member, and so Kyle for years has came to the banquet Sunday
Yes.
night, and we
Yeah.
get to have the conversation about having a formal banquet with table manners and
Yes. Yeah.
all
That's
of
another
that and
piece
what it
that's
looks
important.
like, and just to watch our 4-Hers bloom under that and the
Yeah.
conversations they have with the lawmakers in Kansas
Right.
about their projects.
Yeah.
I guess I want to stress we're not doing this as a lobbying activity. This is truly about the education that our kids are able to get from those members. And it's just, if you've not been to the State House in Topeka, it's just a gorgeous setting to be able to go into the
Right.
Capitol
Yeah,
building.
absolutely. Yeah, the kids can do a tour. It's just an absolutely great opportunity for the kids to get out to meet other kids from across the state and meet our lawmakers and just see how it all works. It really is good. In that same vein, we've also had an opportunity, and this is kind of morphed into a different look over the past couple of years, but to go to Washington, D.C. as well, kind of the ultimate lawmaking experience. Citizenship Washington focus trip. Last year, we started partnering with a group from Oklahoma to do this. And I think we're going to do that again this coming year um, to go with the group from Oklahoma. I know my daughter went last year. There were 5 from my county that went last year. And or there were maybe 4 others from Kansas that went. And anyway, it's a bus trip. It's a long time on a bus. But they do more than just go to Washington, D.C. They also stop at like Gettysburg, they stop in Philadelphia. These kids just had an amazing time because they're teenagers and they get to meet other teenagers and they get to socialize for like 2 weeks.
Oh, see, so I did this trip when I was a teenager. And,
Okay, there you
keep in mind we were pre-cell phones. Nobody could send us text messages or, things like that that the kids have now. But it was the best time. I still remember calling home from the hotel room phone to tell mom how I was doing and then hanging up and going back out and playing with, the new best friends that I had. And you do make connections that last a lifetime
go.
on
Hmm.
events like that. I can even remember who my sponsors were at the time. And so I appreciate now as an adult what all of those adults had to go through to keep 50, I believe there's 51 of us that year and 4 chaperones.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. A
It
lot of
was
kiddos on that bus. No,
a lot
thank
of
you.
kiddos.
Yeah, the sponsors from Oklahoma that they were wonderful. They were wonderful. Yeah, because I know my kid had a few health issues while she was on the trip, and they were in constant contact with me. So it all turned out well, and they all made it back in one piece. But oh man, yeah, it was a good trip, and all of my kids that went from Pratt from my county just had a phenomenal time. They did. And they did get some, my kids also got some financial assistance from my local 4-H foundation. So that made it affordable for them to go. It is kind of a pricey trip, but they did have some assistance, so that really helped out. Um,
Well, and oh goodness, we're getting into memory sharing. This may be our longest podcast ever, but I'm going to share because one of the things I learned to do was fundraising to attend that trip. And
oh
so
yeah,
I went to my local Lions Club and asked them to help sponsor me, and they helped
sorry,
sponsored my
party
trip
going on in the lobby. Sorry.
on the condition that I would come back and tell them all about it. So I learned about
Oh
that
yes,
responsibility of being able to go back and then present on it. And, now I know Lions Club is not a threatening group of individuals, but when I was in high school, they were
yes,
all the older gentlemen and the business
that's
owners in the
interesting.
community. And so it was a little bit of an intimidating group, but so
I think that's awesome though that you were bold enough to go ask them for some funds. Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know if it was bold or it was just committed, and that was kind of the guidance I was given.
Yeah,
They'll help if you ask. So
uh-huh. That's cool.
I did. So well, I know we've got some other things with 4-H. But I'm looking at our time here. I don't know
We're
how
about out
much
of
our
time.
listeners want it. Yeah.
Okay.
And so let's talk about for just a little bit here of how those projects connect to life after school, your career or your schooling, college or trade school, wherever you're headed. So, what do we do in 4-H connected to careers?
Yeah, there's a lot of connection into what you want to do when you grow up. What do I want to be when I grow up? So we often encourage those kids to look into projects that interest you in your career exploration. And Kansas State University has done a really cool thing the past couple of years in allowing kids that are juniors or seniors to actually take college classes that interest them and get credit while they're still in high school through Kansas State University. I've had at least one or two of my 4-Hers take advantage of that. They can do it, online, their virtual classes, and they kind of just gives them a jump start on their college credit through K-State at a hugely reduced rate. I mean, it's crazy. And we've also got this really cool youth entrepreneurial challenge. See if you can say that 10 times fast. That also encourages the kids to think a little bit about, building their own business, thinking outside the box about, creating their own inventions and things like that. Uh, I could go on and on about all the wonderful things that 4-H has done for my girls. um, what have you got?
Well,
What
I
are
was
your
gonna say
thoughts?
Barber County's starting YEC, another acronym. We like Youth Entrepreneurship
Yeah,
Challenges, YEC, and it's a partnership with I've got my economic development director is on board, and we're working with Network Kansas to pull it all together in the county and then statewide too. But I love that it's about helping kids write a business plan. The
yeah,
case.
cool.
So you
Yeah,
think you can make money making soap? Okay, really? Then how is this going to work? Because there are people making money and providing for their families making soap. It's not a far-fetched idea.
right.
Um, but you do have to have the business plan and a business behind it. I love it because I was one of the kids that I actually started a business with my crafts when I was a 4-H'er. And so if we had had this opportunity then, well, you might not be talking to me as a county agent right now. I might have. might have pursued some of that and gone a little bit different that way. Um, but I just love that we're supporting hopefully our future small business owners in our communities getting started there, as well as kids headed on the college track.
And I think that both of my girls would tell you more than once they have been told, whether it's by college teachers or employers, that once they've see on their resumes or know that their background includes 4-H, they can tell. Or they say, "Oh, I see that you're in 4-H." Well, they either get hired because of that, because they know that they come with a good set of skills, a good set of ethics, and it has really helped them get more than one job. I know that. And they know that their public speaking skills are going to be spot on because they know that in 4-H you have to do a lot of public speaking. And I have had more than one teacher tell me I can always tell which kids are in 4-H because they have great public speaking skills. And yeah, it's you can just tell those kids, by the time they get to college, um, that have been in 4-H, I think.
And I want to stress, if you go, well, that's not my kid, that you don't know, what challenges they have.
Right.
We're accessible to all kids,
Yeah,
and that they may not be the kids that win public speaking contests or things like that, but I truly do believe that all kids benefit and all kids learn the skills from their time in 4-H.
I would
So
agree.
I just, while we're singing the accolades of what a lot of our kids can achieve, it really is about including all kids and that all kids can find success and
Absolutely.
belonging.
Absolutely. We are inclusive to all kids, no matter what accommodations they might need. And in fact, the
Hmm.
university has a whole office to help us make accommodations for any type of disability or special need that the kids might have. And I think that's pretty awesome that we have the whole university to back us up to help us out at the county level so that we can help make those accommodations.
Right, because it's about knowing best, what's
Right.
best.
Yeah.
And what my experience says is best may not actually be the right answer. You
Right.
know, I can admit that. So
Yeah.
anyway, I am just really excited. When we first tossed this around as a topic, I'm like, well, it strays a little bit from what we were talking about, but yet it's the other part of our job. If you
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's one of
don't
the
know
biggest
us,
parts
you
of
don't know
that.
about the whole county agent piece of family consumer science and 4-H.
And where am I going to next? I'm getting ready to go to a 4-H meeting right after this. So,
That was such perfect timing, Jody.
it was.
There you
It was.
go. So,
All right. If we
Jody,
talked too long, I'm sorry.
no, you always wrap us up by letting the people know where they can find us. Um, and I would say our email addresses are in the description of the podcast.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and then socials, I'm at Barber County Extension on Facebook if you search that, or Barber dot K hyphen state dot edu if you're looking for my webpage.
I'm on Facebook at Pratt CO Extension, and I've been posting on YouTube at K State Research and Extension Pratt County. So you'll find our videos there, which are probably not very exciting, but maybe I'll jazz it up a little next time. I don't know.
We are a work in progress, like our 4-H kids are. We're learning, and I think we're getting better at podcasting.
Totally a work in progress. Yes.
So, all right. Well, next week we're going to venture back to budgeting. It's a topic that a lot of people think about at the first of the year. And so we'll talk
Okay.
about some budgeting tips
What's that?
and yeah. and some planning tips. So, I also know at the end of January people start thinking about filing their taxes.
I
So
love
if
that.
you're somebody who counts on a tax refund every year, um, planned spending maybe is a funner term to think about than budgeting. So, but that's what's up next for the special agent moms.
Okay, talk to you later.